So you want to buy a new house, but you got to sell the one that you're currently in. What are some things you should consider, and how does all that work? We're going to talk about it coming up next. What's going on, friends? This week we're going to talk about making an offer contingent on the sale of another home. And this happens pretty commonly, not all the time, but there's some things that you want to consider before doing this because it can be complicated and it definitely is affected by the market. So depending on what the market is doing, your ability to make a contingent offer definitely changes. The strength of your offer definitely changes. And simply in a hot market, in a hot seller's market, it is more difficult. You are going to be more at a disadvantage if you're looking to do a contingent offer, because if a seller gets 5 offers and 2 of them are cash, 2 of them are well financed, and 1 of them is contingent on the sale of another home, you're likely going to the bottom of the pile, right? So that's just something to understand. Depending on the market, is you may have a better chance of doing this is if it's more of a balanced or buyer's market where the house has been sitting for a little while and the seller may be a little bit more open to taking an offer like this that's contingent on the sale of another property. But we'll talk kind of about how that works and how you can make your offer stronger based on the state of your current property. And then the other thing that you want to think about is the seller's aversion to risk, right? All sellers are different. It's hard to put sellers into one category, and some sellers will be more open to taking the chance of your home not selling or your home falling out of escrow and opening escrow with you anyways because you have a good offer, and others will say, absolutely not, I don't want any type of contingent offer at all. There's too many contingencies already on the sale. I don't want to add another one. So that's something that you can't predict, and you really just have to work out via your realtor and the seller's agent to figure out kind of where they feel what will make them comfortable and then construct an offer that is going to best fit their needs and maybe give you the best chance of getting in. So some things to consider before you make a contingent offer, because this is something that we get asked very often, is, hey, I want to do this, make this contingent offer, and immediately we're going to ask you a few questions, right? The first one is, what's the status of the sale of your current home? Is it on the market? Is it in escrow? Is it even not on the market yet? Because if you don't even have your house on the market yet, it's going to be hard to sell that to a seller saying, hey, please accept my offer, but I haven't even put my house on the market yet, and I got to sell that before I can buy yours, right? There's a basically open-ended time window where you have no idea when you're going to be able to close because your house isn't on the market yet. So I always recommend at least have your home on the market before you start making contingent offers, because you can show the seller that you're already actively marketing your property, and you can give them a timeline and say, hey, I plan to have it in escrow within 30 days, and you're going to continue to drop the price until that happens, right? You can incentivize and explain that and give them a timeline. Best case scenario is your home is already in escrow, right? If your home is already in escrow and you make the contingent offer, you can show that seller that, look, my house is already in escrow, I have a buyer, we're through inspections, it's a cash deal or it's a well-financed deal and the appraisal has already come in. You can give them some assurances that it's very likely your home is going to close, which gives them more assurances that their home is going to close and you can actually purchase it. So those are a few things to consider before you make a contingent offer. Is you really got to think about your situation and are you ready, and is your home in a current state where it's gonna be attractive to that seller that you're making an offer to, that you can actually get the deal done. So a couple of other things that you want to consider when you are constructing a contingent offer, because you got to be reasonable, right? You cannot do a contingent offer, add a big new contingency in that you got to sell your house and then also lowball the seller, right? Like that's just totally going to turn somebody off, and it's going to make it very difficult for that seller to accept that offer. So you got to think about being reasonable on price, maybe even paying a little bit more than you really want to incentivize that seller to take your contingency, accept your contingency. So a few $1,000 over a 30-year mortgage, if you're doing a mortgage, is not going to be a big deal, and it could make you more competitive. So you want to think about price being reasonable if you're going to be injecting another contingency into that offer. And then you want to think about what other concessions can you give the seller in order to incentivize them, right? Maybe you can waive a few other contingencies in the contract. You can offer them a rent back at no cost if they want to take time to move. Maybe you offer to pay some of their closing costs. Give them a couple of things to sweeten the deal, because they are accepting a really big contingency if you got to sell your home, and that is something that they're going to consider all of the things, all of the other terms that are on the table they're going to look at, and if you can maybe concede on a few of them and then add another one in, then it makes it a little bit more fair and it's a little bit more reasonable. Of course, you got to have a good agent on the other side helping to make this deal work and explain these things and explain the advantages or disadvantages to that seller. And then the third thing that I like to do, especially if I'm on the list side and I'm helping a seller consider a contingent offer, is I want a timeline and I want a way out for my seller, right? So what I mean by that is I want to know, okay, when do you plan to have your home in escrow? When do you plan to have that home closed? When can we close on this home? And if you don't meet certain performance deadlines, we can write these into the special terms, then my seller has the ability to unilaterally cancel on you and put the house back on the market. So if you're not performing and you're not living up to your expectations as a buyer, my seller is protected. And so as a buyer, in good faith, if you can offer these timelines up and offer that seller a way out if you don't perform, that is going to make the seller more comfortable and show them that you're serious and you're definitely going to meet these timelines because you're serious about buying their house, and you have to meet those timelines in order for you to close on their home. So think about that and think about offering it up, being proactive about it, and showing the seller that you have good faith and you're going to do the things necessary to get your home sold on time so you can get their home sold on time. So in conclusion, kind of short story, it can definitely be done. You want to make sure that you're working with a good agent that can navigate all this stuff and give you the right advice and figure stuff out, because you want to make sure that all of these different things are being considered and you put yourself in the best position possible. Hopefully you don't have any competition, but if you have competition, you definitely got to be more strategic about the way you construct that offer. So if you have any questions about this or anything else real estate related in Hawaii, you can always email me at dylan@buyabigisland.com or put them in the comments below. Hit me in the DMs and we'll get back to you. Have an awesome day. See you guys next week. Aloha.